play Roblox, right? I used to be really into it. I would play every moment I could, even between classes. After getting home from school, I'd quickly do my homework and then play for hours. Whenever my parents would see me playing, they'd say, "That's enough, go do something else for a while." I'd stop playing and watch Roblox videos on YouTube instead. As you might have guessed, I was spending a large part of my allowance on Roblox. The Roblox currency is called Robux. I was so hooked on it that even when I was buying something in real life, I would convert the price into Robux. For example, when the ice cream guy would say it's $2.50 for a scoop, I'd go, "That's 200 Robux." I wasn't the only Roblox addict in our house. My little sister Ellie was really into it too, but our parents never said anything to her. Sometimes my mom would even sit next to her and watch her play. Once when my mom asked me to get off Roblox, I said, "Ellie is playing the whole time too. How come you don't say anything to her?" And my mom replied, "She's too young." And when I said, "Ellie is only 3 years younger than me," my mom got angry and said, "Tammy, stop comparing yourself to your sister or I won't let you play at all." It might seem weird to you that our parents treat us differently, but I'm used to it. Ellie is their favorite. For example, last year for her birthday, they gave her 10,000 Robux. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard it. My mom's a housewife, and my dad works at an Amazon warehouse. They always complain about money, but when it comes to my sister, they act as if they're loaded. I remember blurting out, "That's not fair, you got me a t-shirt for my birthday." Ellie, being the brat that she is, couldn't stop herself from laughing at me, saying, "What's the one thing in Roblox you really want but can't afford? I'm gonna buy it." Before I continue, let me just remind you to hit the like button so you're enjoying this video. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Thanks so much. One night, as I was watching Roblox videos on YouTube, when the power went out, I lit a candle. There's a huge tree in front of our house. The branches were making shadows on the wall, which looked scary. As if that weren't enough, an owl began hooting, and it felt really eerie in there. As I was sitting there, shaking with fear, I had a fantastic idea. I used to think it would be so great to have my own Roblox YouTube channel. But YouTube has thousands of them. Most of them have similar content. There would be no point in having a channel like that. That night, I had a brilliant idea. I could make my channel stand out by making scary Roblox videos. Later that night, I found a Halloween makeup tutorial on YouTube and drew a scary skull on my face. Then I turned off the lights and lit a candle. Finally, I began playing the scariest Roblox game, Mimic. I actually felt scared, and so the video came out really realistic. I created a new YouTube channel and uploaded the video. That moment, I became a YouTuber. Naturally, I did not get a lot of views at first. Only my friends were watching, but I kept dropping videos on a regular basis. I was putting on different scary makeup every night and playing a scary Roblox game. Since it was always late and I didn't want to wake up my family, I couldn't scream. So I invented something called a silent scream. Whenever I was scared in the game, I would pretend to scream by opening my mouth really wide. People loved this. In the comments, they would count my silent screams. Since my family didn't like my playing Roblox, I couldn't tell them about my channel. I had to keep it a secret. In fact, I wanted to tell them because I was starting to make money from it. I was gradually making more and more. After I hit 200,000 subscribers, I started making as much in one day as my dad made in a month. But I didn't have a bank account because I wasn't old enough. So YouTube was holding on to the money I made. I was going to get it all when I had a bank account. Everything was going great, and then I got caught. The silent scream had become really popular at Ellie's school. Since all her friends were talking about it, Ellie got curious and checked out the channel herself. Even though I was wearing a lot of makeup, she recognized my voice. She got super jealous when she saw how many subscribers I had. She ran home from school and told my mom about it. My parents and I had a big fight that night. My mom said, "How can you do something like this without telling us? You will shut down that channel immediately." To which I replied, "Mom, I love doing videos. Please let me do this. I'm making money too." My dad said, "Tammy, I already have a job. We don't need the $5 you're making on YouTube," which made me laugh because I was making thousands of dollars every month. My dad got really upset that I was laughing at him. "You are going to your room and deleting that channel now. I don't want to hear another word from you about this," he yelled. I went to my room without saying a word. I couldn't fall asleep for a long time. It wasn't fair for them to make me delete my channel, and it was ridiculous. I realized what the real reason was. My parents were actually jealous of my success. Specifically, they didn't want me to be more successful than Ellie. This thought made me really angry. There was no way I was deleting my channel now. Suddenly, I had an idea. My parents had always wanted to own a house, but couldn't afford to buy one. If I could buy them a house with the money I'd made, They realized this was serious. I went ahead with my plan the next day. I knew my grandma had a bank account, so I went to visit her, and I told her everything. She hugged me and said, "You're such a smart girl. I'm proud of you," and agreed to help me. The next day, I got YouTube to release the money into my grandma's bank account. A week later, I found the perfect house with help from a real estate agent. I signed the papers and got the keys. I still had some money left. I wanted to decorate our new home, so we'd be able to move into it with all new furniture. I worked hard on that over the next few days. I turned it into a dream house. Finally, everything was ready. I was so looking forward to showing it to my parents. I had no new videos up on the channel for some time now. After everyone was asleep, I put on some scary makeup and did another video. I uploaded the video and got into bed. I was so excited, and I was also curious about my family's reaction. The next day, I went over to the new house. My mom called me 3 times, but I didn't pick up. I was waiting for my dad to get off work. After I made sure that he was home, I sent the location of the house to him and wrote, "Dad, will all of you please come to this address? I've got a surprise for you." My dad texted me, "Tammy, where are you? Come home now. We have to talk about this YouTube business of yours." I wrote back, "Dad, come to this address I just sent you. Let's talk here." My dad didn't respond. When she saw the new video, Ellie must have figured out that I didn't delete my channel and ratted me out to my parents. I didn't think too much of it because I was sure they changed their minds once they found out I'd bought them a magnificent house. I waited outside. Were they going to come? Thankfully, in half an hour, my mom, my dad, and Ellie arrived. My sister had a smirk on her face. Both my parents looked really furious. My mom asked, "Tammy, why did you bring us to this place?" I said, "Mom, I have a surprise for you." She wasn't listening. "Why didn't you delete your YouTube channel? Did you think we wouldn't find out?" she yelled. Without saying a word, I held up the gift box I was holding. My dad said, "Tammy, you have disappointed us. Are you going to bribe us with a gift?" And I said to him, "Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Mom, would you please open it?" My mom opened the box. She was surprised to see the key inside. "What's this key for?" she asked. "That's for the door to our new house," I said. Then I pointed to the house right behind me. It said on the door, "Welcome to your new home." All 3 of them stared at the house. My dad asked, "Tammy, how did you buy this house?" And I said to him, "I bought it with the money I made on YouTube." "Dad, I love my channel so much. You can make so much more money on YouTube than you think. From now on, I will give you all the money I make. Please don't ask me to shut down my channel." My parents kept staring at me blankly. My mom said, "Oh my God, Tammy, is it possible to make this much money on YouTube?" And turned to Ellie screaming, "This is all because of you! You made us do it!" Ellie began to cry. Now I was surprised. "What's going on? What did Ellie make you do?" I asked. My dad said, "Tammy, we did something horrible. When Ellie told us you still had your channel up, we got mad. We actually had no idea, but Ellie said we could delete the channel if we wanted to. Your laptop was turned on and, Tammy, honey, we deleted your YouTube channel." My ears were ringing. "This can't be real. It must be a nightmare," I mumbled. But when Ellie came and hugged me, I realized it wasn't. She was sobbing hysterically. "I'm so sorry. I showed my parents how to delete the channel. I was the one who made them do it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." My parents were looking at me with sadness in their eyes. One night, I had a dream in which I was in the basement of our house. While looking for something, I don't know what, I discovered a secret room. At first, I was afraid, but then curiosity got the best of me and I went in. It was such a realistic dream. I was looking around the room when suddenly the door shut behind me. It was completely dark and I started screaming. I woke up right away. I was drenched in sweat. I looked around, scared. I was in my room. Thankfully, it was just a dream, I thought. Suddenly, I realized something. The secret room was real. What I saw in my dream had actually happened to me when I was 5 or 6 years old. I had been looking for our neighbor's cat in the basement. I heard the neighbor tell my mom that her cat went missing the day before. I thought it might be in our basement, so I went down there. Somehow, a door happened to open in one of the walls. I remember going into the hidden room, but I don't remember what happened there at all. All of a sudden, the light went off. It was pitch black, and I was scared to death. I guess my brain simply erased this memory because it was so traumatic. But when I dreamed of it, it came right back. It was a clear memory, as if it happened yesterday. I couldn't remember who it was that got me out of the room. I thought I could ask my mom about it. My mom is a designer and my dad is a software developer. They both work from home. I rushed into my mom's home office. I said, "Mom, I have something important I need to ask you." She looked at me smiling. But when I began to tell her about my dream, her smile froze. "The secret room in the basement is real, right? How did I ever get out of it?" I asked. Mom didn't know what to say. "Janine, it was just a dream. There's no secret room in the basement," she said. She got mad when I wouldn't drop it. "I'm really busy right now," she said and shooed me away. I figured my mom was lying, but I didn't say anything. I decided to find the secret room myself. Both my parents and I go to bed really early. We're usually asleep by 10 p.m. That night, after my parents went to bed, I quietly went down to the basement. I scanned the walls with the flashlight. There had to be a secret door somewhere. I kept looking and looking, but I couldn't find it. I was feeling really sleepy. When I got back to my room, I heard people outside talking. I looked out the window. There was a car parked across the street, and my dad was talking to the people inside. I was really surprised. What was my dad doing outside so late? Who was he talking to? The next evening, I was in the basement again after everyone went to bed. I had an idea. If the secret door had opened while I was looking for the cat, maybe I should try looking along the bottom part of the wall. When I pointed my flashlight down, I saw a brick that was sticking out. When I pushed it back into place, I heard a mechanism. Then a tiny door opened inside the wall. I got really excited. The light in the secret room switched on by itself. I walked in. Inside, there was a table, a few chairs, a couch, and a bunch of cabinets. There were no cobwebs. It seemed the room had been cleaned recently. There was a walkie-talkie on the table. When I opened the first cabinet, I screamed. "No way!" There were 2 huge rifles and 2 handguns in there. I opened another cabinet. It was full of canned food. It was clear that this room was designed to hide in during an emergency or even live in for a while. When I opened the small cabinet next to the couch, I saw that it was full of documents, envelopes, and maps. I picked up an envelope. There were a few photos in there. I took it back to my room. I was excited to look through the photos. There was a wedding photo of a couple I didn't recognize, a baby photo, and another one of the 3 of them together. I was confused. Why do we have someone's family photos? Why was there a secret room in our basement? What was the deal with the walkie-talkie and the guns? Why did my mom lie to me and say there was no room? Who were the men that my dad was talking to? Just as I was about to go to sleep, I had an idea. I took out all the photos one by one. I took separate pictures of the man and the woman with my phone. Then I went on to Google Images. I clicked the search by image icon. I uploaded the woman's photo. I got no results. Then I uploaded the man's photo. This time, I got a bunch of results. My heart was pounding. I clicked on the top link. It was a news site. I started reading. This guy had been a famous mafia boss in the past. He'd been the head of all the gangs in New York. He had thousands of men working for him. The police worked for a long time to collect enough evidence to put him away. Finally, he got arrested and was convicted and was sentenced to life in prison. Nobody knew which prison he was sent to because the police were scared that his men would try to break him out. Now, I was even more confused than earlier. Why did we have photos of a mafia boss and his family in our basement? Was my dad working for him? This was a ridiculous idea, but I couldn't think of any other explanation. The next night, I went down to the secret room again. I had to find more information. I opened the cabinet where I found the photos. As I was looking to see if there was anything else, I found an ID card. From the photo, I could tell it was the ID of the mafia boss's wife. That's how I learned her name. The secret room had no phone signal, so I came back to my room. I Googled the woman's name. There were only 2 results. Both were news stories about a traffic accident. She had lost control of her car while speeding and flew from a bridge into the river. She had her baby with her. They both died. Instead of solving the mystery, every new bit of information was making things even more complicated. I was so curious to find out what all this meant. I looked out the window to check if the car I saw the night before was still there. And it was. The light in the car was on, and I could make out the faces of the people inside. There were 2 men inside, a driver and a passenger. The passenger was my dad. They were chatting and laughing. A few minutes later, another car came and parked behind them. A woman came out. My dad got out of the car. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw my dad and this woman embrace each other. Was this woman my dad's lover? Then he got into her car and they left together. I had to tell my mom what I'd just seen. She would definitely be upset, but she had to know that my dad was having an affair. I walked into my parents' bedroom crying. My mom woke up and screamed, "Janine, what's wrong?" "Mom, Dad is cheating on you. I saw it with my own eyes. He just drove away with some woman," I said. My mom held me close. She calmly said, "Why are you not in bed so late? You shouldn't have seen that." I asked her, "What do you mean? Who was that woman?" My mom smiled and said, "Janine, that's your dad's wife. Or rather, she's the wife of the man who you think is your dad." I said, "What do you mean, the man you think is your dad? Does this have anything to do with the secret room in the basement?" It was my mom's turn to be surprised. "You found that too? That's a shelter. Come on, let's go down there. I have a lot to tell you," she said. We went down to the basement. "I think you'll need these," I said as I gave her the envelope with the photos. My mom said, "Now you'll know everything you've been wondering about," and picked up the wedding photo. She pointed to the man and said, "This is your real father." "What? My dad was a mafia boss?" I screamed. "Yes, he was the most ruthless mafia boss of the century," Mom replied. "So who is this woman with him?" I asked. "That's me," she said. I said, "Mom, that can't be you. She doesn't look like you at all." Mom said, "Janine, I used to look like that. What you see now is the result of 7 plastic surgeries." The things I was learning were so outrageous. Nothing surprised me anymore. When I said to my mom, "The internet says you died in a car accident along with your baby," she said, "That's fake news. The police put that up." That's when it hit me. I grabbed the photo of the baby. "Is that me?" I asked. My mom shed a tear. "Yes, it's you, honey. Your face was completely transformed after 3 plastic surgeries. I'm really sad about that, but there was nothing else we could do," she said, and went on to explain. "When I married your father, he was working as a driver for a businessman. It turns out that person was involved in organized crime. Your father learned everything from it and got involved as well. I thought he was still working as a driver, and meanwhile, he had become a mafia boss. By the time I found out, it was too late. He had completely transformed into a criminal. You were born around that time. Your father was out of control. He was horrible towards both his men and me. I hated him, and I was also terrified of him. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so I took you and went to police. They'd been trying to arrest your father for years, but could never collect enough evidence. I knew all about your father's dirty laundry. He was arrested and sentenced to life in prison thanks to my testimony. Since a lot of his men were still loyal to him, you and I were in serious danger. That's why they got us into the witness protection program. First, they completely changed our appearance with a series of surgeries. Next, they gave us new names. Then we moved into this little town. It was a wild story, straight out of a movie, and I was one of the characters in it. "So, who is the man I called Dad?" I asked. "He's our bodyguard. His real name is George. The woman you saw is his real wife. Every night after you go to bed, George goes home and comes back before you're up. When he's not around, there are other people protecting us." When I said, "I know, they're sitting in the car across the street," my mom laughed and said, "You found out so much." I asked Mom, "Is this secret room for us to hide in?" She said, "Your father had thousands of men. Because of me, their lives were upended. They've been looking for us for years to get revenge. If they ever find out who we are and where we live, they will kill us. But don't you worry. If that happens, we'll be hiding right here. The guns are for our protection. George is, of course, going to stay with us." My name has become very popular thanks to the TV show Game of Thrones. But there's an interesting story behind how I got this name. Aria means air in Italian. So why was I named Air? Because I was born on an airplane, and that was the name chosen by the Italian pilot. You heard that right. I was born 16 years ago on board an airplane in the middle of a transatlantic flight. According to official records, the odds of being born on an airplane are 1 in 26 million. There have been nearly 50 babies born in the air so far. Of course, these were all unexpected births. My mom was on her way to visit my grandmother who had broken her hip. But for whatever reason, I decided to enter this world during her trip and became one of those 50 babies. Even though there were a lot of mishaps during my birth, I'm so happy that I was born on a plane because I have an interesting birth story. And also, the airline gifted me a golden ticket. Thanks to this, I can fly anywhere in the world for free. Now, let me tell you my story from the beginning. My parents are both mining engineers. At the time, they were working at a gold mine in India. My mom was planning to give birth to me there. But when my grandmother, who lived in New York, fell down the stairs and broke her hip, my mom wanted to go right away because there was nobody else that could look after her. Airlines have different policies when it comes to pregnant passengers. The airline my mom was flying allowed women to fly until they were 38 weeks pregnant. Because my mom was 36 weeks, or 8 months pregnant at the time, she had no trouble buying a ticket. My mom says I was already very active earlier that day. 5 hours after takeoff, she suddenly started getting labor pains. At first, she thought it was due to stress. But after a while, when the contractions began, she called one of the flight attendants. She said, "I have bad news for you. I think I'm going to have a baby." They immediately moved my mom up to first class. The captain came over to her shortly after. He said, "We're currently flying close to the polar circle. We can't possibly do an emergency landing. Will you be okay for the next 4 hours?" My mom was getting worried and told him, "My contractions are getting closer together. That means labor is going to start in 15 to 20 minutes. The chief flight attendant made an announcement saying, "We have a passenger who's about to go into labor. Is there a doctor on board?" When no one answered, she tried again, this time saying, "A passenger is having a baby in 15 minutes. Is there a doctor, a nurse, a midwife, or even a pharmacist? Anyone who's in healthcare?" One of the passengers said, "My daughter is in medical school. She's very scared, but I think there's a chance she may be able to help you." The girl was so nervous. She snapped at her mother saying, "Mom, I'm just in my 3rd year. I've never even seen anyone give birth. You probably know more about it than I do. You've at least done it yourself." But when the chief flight attendant said, "I understand, but you're the only person on this plane who knows anything about healthcare. Please help us," she had no choice but to say yes. They cleared the first class section to prepare for labor. As you know, first class seats can turn into comfortable beds. Flight attendants converted that space into a small hospital room and laid my mom down. Then they brought hot water and towels, just like in the movies. But just when they thought everything was okay, they realized that the medical student had disappeared. After searching for a while, they found her hiding in the bathroom. She'd locked herself in there because she was so scared. Her mom went to the bathroom door and started begging her. They finally convinced her to come out. When she was finally brought to first class, she was crying and saying, "I can't do it! I can't do it!" My mom had been pretty calm until then. When she saw the girl, she started crying too. The chief flight attendant saw that things were getting out of hand and decided to take control of the situation. First of all, she sent the girl back to her seat. Then she turned to my mom and said the magic word, "Push!" Once my mom heard that, she stopped crying and started pushing. And sure enough, shortly after, she gave birth to me. All the passengers on the plane were waiting anxiously. The pilot's announcement broke the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, we realize there's a stowaway on board because her name is not on the passenger list. In fact, this little passenger doesn't even have a name. With her mother's permission, I've named her Aria. It means air in my mother tongue. I want to extend a warm welcome to Aria, who was born in the air." Relieved by the pilot's announcement, the passengers broke into applause. The captain called my dad on his cell phone to give him the news and then put my mom on. Because there were no video calls back then, Dad was only able to listen to my crying. After landing, they took my mom and me straight to the hospital. The doctor examined us and said there was nothing wrong with either of us. My dad came to New York the following week. When he went to deal with the paperwork, the official asked him about my place of birth. When Dad said Aria was born on a plane, she was surprised. She told him, "Unfortunately, in the air is not one of the options. The closest one is at sea. We can put that if you like." My dad had to say yes to that. So my passport says I was born at sea. I love showing it to people and saying, "Actually, I wasn't born at sea, but in the air," and telling them how it happened. That is my birth story. Now let me tell you about my golden ticket. As I said earlier, I can fly anywhere in the world for free. About a month after I was born, the airline called my parents and invited them to their headquarters. The general manager explained that there are some superstitions in aviation, just like in seafaring. Apparently, it's a very good sign when a baby is born on a plane. He said they were going to rename the plane I was born on after my mother. Then he added, "And we will give Arya a golden ticket so she can travel on our planes for free for the rest of her life." Which of course made my parents really happy. You might have heard before that babies born in the air fly everywhere for free, but that's not exactly true for every baby. Yes, there are lucky babies like me who get the golden ticket, but there is no set rule about it. If the airline wants to give them a golden ticket, they do. If they choose not to, no one asks them why they didn't. One more thing. Some airlines that give out golden tickets announce it publicly, and others don't. For example, our airline chose not to make an announcement. I know some of you might be jealous of me. You might be thinking, I wish my mom gave birth to me in the air. Just think about it. If I decided to go to Japan today, I could get on a plane tonight and be in Tokyo tomorrow. This really is an incredible opportunity, but of course it's not as simple as that. Yes, the flight might be free, but if I don't have enough money for other expenses like hotels and food, there's no point for me going to Tokyo. Also, because I can't travel alone, either my mom or my dad needs to come with me, and of course, they need to pay for their own plane tickets. This is why I haven't been able to use my golden ticket much so far. Now I'm looking forward to turning 18. After finishing high school, I won't start college right away. First, I will go on a trip around the world for a year. I want to visit at least 50 countries. I'll be waitressing wherever I go to make money, so I'll be working and traveling at the same time. Besides, some days I'll be sleeping on the plane instead of paying for a hotel room. Let's say I'm in Paris. From there, I'll get a ticket to Cuba. That's a 10-hour flight. I'll eat a good meal once I'm on the plane. Then I'm going to sleep there as if I'm in a hotel room. After a good night's sleep, I'll wake up in Havana. It sounds wild to treat the plane like a hotel, but I'll be able to do that thanks to my golden ticket. I'd love it if you could give me some recommendations for my trip. Which countries or cities should I visit? And please tell me why you recommend those places. I hope that by the time I start my trip, the pandemic will finally be over and I can travel safely.